Happy coding.
Hey there, Kevin here. And in this video, I'm going to sort of build on the last video where I talked about artificial intelligence kind of generally. And I am going to work through the idea of AI coding, or it's often called vibe coding, which is a little silly. But so, and I'm going to kind of talk through like the pros and cons of that. So just as a high level sort of overview, just in case you haven't played with um, ChatGPT before, ChatGPT is one of many tools. Gemini is another one. So gemini.google.com. Oh, I'm in the wrong window. I'm gonna have to sign in. No, maybe you don't. Cool. So Gemini is another one, but I'm going to probably stick with ChatGPT. It's a tool where you can kind of chat with it. It's kind of a chat bot and you can do lots of things. So I can say, I don't know, like, give me a fact about bees. And it's an artificial intelligence that will chat back and forth with you. So bees communicate with each other by performing a waggle dance. That is true. They do. And you can also do things like, I don't know, give me a um, 5-page research paper on the history of beekeeping. Um, and that will probably work. And here you go. So, y'all are students, so I'm guessing that you're not unfamiliar with the fact that this exists, but you can imagine if I was in a beekeeping class and I got the assignment of write a 5-page research paper on the history of beekeeping. Well, I just did that, right? I just generated a 5-page research paper. So I could probably copy and paste this whole thing into a Google Doc, print that out, hand that in. I don't know. Do people print things out anymore? Turn it in as a PDF or whatever the newfangled thing to do is, and you know that is a thing that people do. Um, I'm not going to get into all of the ins and outs of that, but that is, ChatGPT in a nutshell. You can use it for personal stuff. You can also use it for school or work, and there's ethical questions in that direction. But what I want to get into for our purposes is the idea of using AI to code, to write code. And so, for example, I'm going to say generate an HTML page that I don't know, talks about bees with a cool uh, design. And I'm going to say, just for the sake of this video, make give me your output in a single index.html file, just because I don't feel like dealing with a bunch of different separate files. So I can send that in, and here it is. It generated a bunch of code. And it's still going in the same way that it can generate 5-page research papers. It can generate code and go away. I don't want to log in. Maybe I will log in just to get that out of my way. Um, for now, I'm just going to go to hit copy code. And because by default, it doesn't really give me like a way to view this page, just gave me the HTML. So I'm going to go over to NeoCities, and I have this directory ready to go where I can just create a bunch of files. So I'm going to call this one, actually I'll call this bees.html. And I'll hit create, and I'll hit edit, and I have my HTML. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to paste what I just copied from ChatGPT. Paste that in, I'll hit save, and then I'll hit view. And here we go. This is a web page about bees. And, it's something. It's kind of cool. It's got this interesting, I don't know, image thing, background. Why bees matter. It's got some cards. When I mouse over it, it does something. That's kind of interesting. It's got made with heart for the bees, save the pollinators. So it did what I asked it to. It gave me a website. Um, and I didn't really have to look at the code at all. I can look at the code. I can see that it's got divs, it's got h3, here's a p tag, and so on and so forth. But did I have to really look at that? Maybe not really. And I don't know. I'm going to try to limit myself to commenting on the pros and cons just yet. Um, but that's just the reality. This is a thing you can do. And so, not surprising to many of you, uh, you can also do this. You can use this to do the assignments in this class. So I am going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to maybe I will log in. Give me a second. Okay, so I'm logged in now, so hopefully it doesn't annoy me again. But where was I? Right. So not surprising to many of you, you can do what I just did with my B prompt with the homework assignments in this class. And so I have copy pasted one of the homework assignments. It's just in Notepad right now, but this might look familiar from a few weeks ago where we were learning about JavaScript, and to practice that, we made sort of an interactive quiz where each question had a couple buttons, and you asked a question about yourself, and then there were buttons that were either right or wrong, and you showed like an alert box to um, like say right or wrong. So this is an assignment that's from earlier in the semester, and so I'm going to copy that, and I'm just going to paste it in. And at the end, I'm going to say, give me the result in a single index.html file, just for the purposes of not having to deal with multiple files. And it's, doing it. And after it finishes, I will sort of copy paste it back into NeoCities. So I'm going to copy this, and looks like it actually does have a preview button. Maybe you have to log in to see that, but I'm gonna do it in NeoCities. So for this one, I'll just call this I'll call this 1.html because I later plan on doing a couple. And I'll edit this, paste in the text, and hit save. And then I'll hit view. And here we go. My interactive quiz. What is the capital of France? Either Paris or London. What if it's London? Incorrect, try again. Okay, what if it's Paris? Correct, Paris is the capital of France. Okay, and it does have 10 questions, it does work, and I didn't have to do much, right? I can look at the code and see that there's some CSS here. There's some HTML. It's got different divs. It's got buttons, and somewhere in here is going to be JavaScript. Somewhere. Where is the JavaScript? Oh, right here, down here. So it's got functions, and looks like it's doing this kind of weird thing where it's like one-lining the functions, which is in my brain kind of weird syntax, but hey, you know what? It works because they're short functions, so hey, why not? And it's using like Q1 correct, Q1 wrong, Q2 correct, Q2 wrong. And okay, so if I look at this by itself, can I tell that this was generated with ChatGPT? Not really, honestly. By itself, anyway. And, if you're like very new to web development, you might look at this and be like, well, heck, that looks like a reasonable website. And I don't know. So that's tempting, and I don't want to turn this into me like lecturing is the wrong word because I'm literally lecturing, but like I don't want to turn this into like me wagging the finger because I'm not. I'm really not. If I was a student, I would be very tempted to just hand this in. However, the challenge is when you view the results in aggregate. And I haven't planned this ahead. I don't have anything up my sleeves or anything. I'm literally like going to open up ChatGPT again. I don't have these like I'm not cherry picking or anything. I can't guarantee that it will actually do the thing that I think it will do, but I kind of think it will. I'm going to open up, let's say, 4 more. just tabs, right? It's all just ChatGPT tabs. I've got the first one that I did, and then another one, another empty one, another empty one, and another empty one. And I'm just going to do the exact same thing. I want to copy in the question. I want to copy in the homework assignment. It's the same text from the same assignment. Paste that in and hit go. And I want to do the same thing in this one. Paste that in and go. Same thing in this one. Paste that in and go. Same thing in this one. Paste it in and go. And so here we go. Here's the first one that I had already copy pasted. This one starts with what is the capital of France? Okay. And so I'll go to the next one. And this one is what is 2 plus 2? What is a fruit? Okay, so it's different maybe. So I'm going to copy that code and I'm going to go to NeoCities and maybe I'll refresh just to make sure I'm in the right place. Okay, I've got one. I'm going to create a new file. I'll call this one 2.html. I'll hit create. I will edit that. And let's see how I want to organize this. I will paste that in and I'll hit save and I will view it. So now I've got 1 and 2. And okay, at first glance, this is a little different. Now I've got what is 2 plus 2, 4 or 5. So 5, incorrect, try again. 4, correct, 2 plus 2 equals 4. And if I look at the code, yeah, this one too, it's got some HTML, it's got some CSS, it's got questions in divs, and it's saying Q3 right, Q3 wrong, Q4 right, Q4 wrong. And down here in the JavaScript, it's got these functions, and again, kind of weirdly inlined, but you know, okay. And maybe that's like a spoiler. Maybe you can already tell kind of where I'm going with this, but let me kind of complete this. That was, what, is this the one I already did? Yeah, this was the one I already did. That's 2. So here's 3. And okay, so this one is, all right, 2 plus 2. What is the color of the sky on a clear blue day? Is that the same question? No. Okay. I'm just making sure I'm in the right window. So let me copy that, and I'll copy that into I think 3. I'm at 3.html. I'll hit create. I'll edit that, and I'll paste it in. I'll hit save. I'll hit view, and okay. I've got what is 2 plus 2? What color is the sky on a clear blue day? Which animal barks? How many days are in a week? Wrong versus correct. This one is wrong versus correct. Okay. So again, it's by itself, it's fulfilling the assignment. If I look at the code, again, it's sort of the same kind of vibe where it's Q1. Okay, now it's using underscores instead of camel case, so that's something. Okay, let me power through these. That was 3, right? I think, yeah. Okay, so let's do 4. And I'll copy that. I haven't even looked at it, but let's just do it. 4.html. Create. And I'll edit that. And I will paste in the result. Hit save and hit view. And okay. What's this blue thing? Oh, you're a group? Why are you in a group? Okay, so the one I just did was 4, and that's bees. So here's 4. What is the capital of France? Paris, London. Which animal barks? Cat or dog? Okay. And I'll finish it out by doing 5, and that's here. So I will copy this, and I'll create a new file, 5.html. I'll hit create and edit that and paste it in. Finally, hit save, hit view, and now I have 5 examples. And again, each individual result is fine. It does the thing that it was asked to in the assignment. But if I look at them in aggregate, if I look at each assignment, which is how I look at the assignments, like after everyone submits them, I usually spend like Sunday night, Monday, and then Tuesday grading. And so I say, give me a website, let me look at the source, let me give that a grade, let me move on to the next thing. And so, you know, I don't know, the first time I see a website or some code that does something like, oh, that's interesting, they did like inline there, or that's interesting, they did a for loop in this specific way, or wow, they did like a really complicated thing here with like arrays and objects. That was like above and beyond. Like little things like that. The first time I see it, I don't actually know if it's ChatGPT. And um, if you're the student, you might look at it and say like, it's fine. Um, but if I look at it in aggregate, if I just look at the results here, like it's not that they're all identical, right? Because they're not, but they're all kind of the same. And even if the even if the questions are different, so even if you go in and change the text of the question, so I say instead of what is 2 plus 2, I'll say, I don't know, what is my favorite TV show? And I change this to, okay, what is Q1 right? Let's do, what is my favorite TV show? Star Trek. And Q1 wrong, that will be, uh, I don't know, the news. And then I go and change my JavaScript. Q1 right and Q1 wrong. What is that? Correct. I'll change this to live long and prosper. And then the wrong one is incorrect. The news is sad and scary. Whoops, got too real. Um, and I save that and I refresh. Like that might feel like I'm customizing it, but wait, I don't even know which one I was on. This one. Um, but really, how much did I change? If I go here to here to here to here, even if I change all of the answers, does that feel different? And I don't even mean that in like an attacky way. Like I don't want to shame anyone. I really, really don't. This is me sort of, I don't know, almost like working through my own feelings about this. Um, because I know that like roughly half of y'all, I think, are doing exactly this. Taking the assignment, going to ChatGPT and feeding that, just like pasting their result back into NeoCities and maybe changing a few things and calling it a day. And on one hand, that's okay. You are this the ChatGPT is doing the thing that was asked in the assignment, and I don't begrudge that, especially because I know how student time, I know what that looks like. I know that you have 5 assignments due every week, and a quiz coming up, and here's this other thing you have to do. You have a job on the side, all this stuff. And so why wouldn't you do it this way? But from my perspective, what I'm seeing is like a lot of the same kind of thing. And if I asked, someone who had only used ChatGPT, like, hey, what is the difference between HTML and JavaScript? I don't know if you would, if you would get that. And so I don't know. I don't want to turn this into a weird thing, but that's just sort of the reality of using ChatGPT in that way, in just copy pasting the assignment as a total and then pasting it back. And I'm picking on ChatGPT here just because it's the most popular, but sort of the same thing is true in all of these tools, Gemini or really anything. And that's just how it is. So I'm also going to maybe demo like how I would recommend doing it. Like if you're not going to code it from scratch by yourself, which is how I actually recommend doing it. Um, and the reason I recommend it is, so I'm not accusing anyone of cheating. I'm not. I think it's probably Spectrum, honestly. And I think that probably a lot of folks who code this way, um, I bet it feels like learning. I bet when I go to ChatGPT and I get a result. I kind of like look at it and I squint and I say, okay, yeah, this is CSS, I think, and yeah, this is HTML, and okay, I can kind of connect the dots enough to be able to change it. So that feels like learning. That feels like I am getting the concepts that I was supposed to out of this class. And um, the challenge there is that learning sort of requires struggling, and it requires sort of like struggling and like banging your head against something. It requires frustration and being challenged, like trying something, it doesn't work. You get a weird error message. You have to research that error message. You say, oh, right, okay, I remember that. That connects to this other thing. And that's you forming connections in your brain. To bring it back to like neural networks, that's you forming those connections between your neurons. And that's learning. And so when you have this button that gives you an assignment, even if you mostly understand the output, you haven't actually done that step of, wait a second, let me really think about this. And I'm not saying that as a value judgment. I'm just reflecting on that as like my job is to be an educator. And so what do I do with that? I honestly don't know. So anyway, the reason I recommend like sort of coding it by yourself, coding it from scratch, which I know like a few of you are, and kudos. The reason I recommend it is to form those brain wrinkles. So if you are going to use AI, here's how I would recommend using it. So I am going to go to ChatGPT again, and instead of pasting in the entire thing, what I'm going to do is say something like, um, can you can you give me the boilerplate for an index.html file? And I'll start there. And what I've given myself is a starting point, and I can kind of look at it and understand it. And maybe I'll copy the code and I'll go back to NeoCities. Now I have way too many tabs open. I can probably close some of these. What am I at, 6? And I'll edit that. And maybe I'll move this all the way to the here. I don't know why it keeps grouping things. That's really annoying. And okay, so I'll paste in the boilerplate that I got, which is actually not all that different than what NeoCities gives me. I'll hit save and I'll hit view. So I've got ChatGPT here, I've got NeoCities here, and I've got my website here. And here it is. Welcome to my page. Okay. So then if my goal is to create this interactive quiz, then maybe what I would do is give me or like add a div to the HTML that contains a question. And here I'll say, maybe I should make this a little bigger. Contains a question. What is my favorite animal? Okay, maybe I will just start there, and I'll hit enter. And okay, it gave me some new code. Looks like it's a p tag with a strong tag. I can copy that. I can go to NeoCities, I can save that, and I can refresh. And I'm kind of developing in the same way that I would if I was doing it by scratch. I'm going through the AI, but I'm at least going step by step. And okay, it even says if you'd like button styling or JavaScript added next, just tell me. And this is giving me more control than when I just said do this whole thing. And so maybe what I'll say is this quiz will be about bees, so add some styling that looks like a beehive. And I'll also add it directly to the index.html file, just because I don't feel like dealing with multiple files. I already have 7 of them. Okay, and here we go. I've got some CSS for my body, some CSS for a container, and okay. And here we go. Copy code, go to NeoCities, paste that in, hit save and refresh. And okay, maybe bee quiz. What is my favorite animal? All right. So then I'll add maybe some buttons, and I'll say add 2 buttons. One says bee, one says, I don't know, octopus. And maybe I'll just start with that. Again, I'm doing it step by step. And I'm looking at the code and I'm saying bee, octopus. All right, I don't know if it actually styled them or not yet. Let's see what it looks like in NeoCities. Okay, it looks like they did style. It did style the buttons. Let's see. What is my favorite animal? Bee, octopus. Right now, those buttons won't do anything. So okay. Let's go back to ChatGPT and said, here it goes. If you want each button to call a JavaScript function with an alert, correct, wrong, I can add that next. Sure. So add JavaScript for each button, and the correct answer should be B. If the user clicks that, say buzz, and if they click octopus, say I don't know, sting. I don't know. I'm giving it explicit, specific examples. I realize my face is in the way, but and here it is. Okay. And let me look at the JavaScript. Where's the JavaScript? Okay, correct answer, wrong answer. Okay, I'm going to copy that code and put that into NeoCities. Save that, refresh. And okay, now I've got octopus and it says sting. Sure, why not? Bee, buzz. All right, cool. And okay, I've developed a pattern maybe. At this point, maybe I could make some other changes like, hey, maybe center that text. I could do that. But maybe I will say like add another question. Let's see, I already said it was a bee quiz. So like, what kind of animal is a bee? Correct answer, insect. Incorrect answer, I don't know, mammal. And sure. Okay, so it is still typing. All right, and I'll copy that code and I'll paste that in and I'll refresh. And okay, what kind of animal is a bee? And I'll test it. Insect. Buzz, correct. Bees are insects. Sure, I didn't really specify that, but that's interesting enough. Oops, bees are insects, not mammals. Okay. And that's, I don't know, that's a little better at least, because I'm still more in control. I will say that like very quickly, what you get into the pattern of is not really reading the code. So like this CSS, like, did I really read it? Did I really understand it? Honestly, not really. But if you're going to use AI, that's how I recommend using it. Doing it step by step, really confirming that each step is doing what you want, and really like making sure that you understand and like customizing it where you want to, if you are going to use AI. Okay. So again, I don't want to turn this into a big preachy thing, but I did just want to sort of cover that because I don't know, for me, it's been a bit of an elephant in the room, I guess, in the fake room that we're not in. Uh, and I wanted to bring it up because chances are, if you are using ChatGPT in the way that I think a lot of folks are, in this class, my guess is you're doing it in other classes. And again, I don't want to be preachy. I really don't. My entire day job is actually teaching people how to use AI tools inside of Google. And if you are copy pasting entire things back and forth, it will catch up with you. And it might not catch up with you in school. It might catch up with you when you get a job and you realize, oh, wait, I can't do this without ChatGPT. And so I don't know. Here's your friendly, like, it's not, I'm not going to penalize you. I'm not going to, seek out like, I don't know, cheating or anything, but I feel like I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't show you kind of what it looks like on the teacher side. And this is also what it would look like on like the boss side or on the client side if you are, in a job. Okay, so maybe the last thing I'll talk through here is how what AI looks like in my job. I am a software engineer. I write code all the time, or these days I haven't been writing a ton of code because I've been doing a lot of curriculum stuff. But you know, by job title, I am a software engineer. And so here is an example of this is very close to what I actually use at my day job. This is an editor called VS Code, and this is like very close to what I use inside of Google. So let me do a couple things. Let me find where this file is and bring that up. And sure, okay. So it's going to get messy. Right now, I've got my sort of HTML on the side there, and then I've got my editor on the left and my HTML on the side. So this is very similar to how I actually code. In real life, I would just have this on a second monitor, but whatever. And so I can add stuff to this. I can say p like welcome to my website. Sure. Hit save and refresh. And sure, there it is. And that works. Usually, the code I'm writing is a little more involved than 7 lines of code. But the process is very similar. I have an editor, I make some changes, and I see my changes reflected, somewhere. And inside of Google, inside my company, we do have access to AI coding tools. In fact, it's literally this. Well, it's not literally, it looks a lot like this. It's the same UI, it's the same tool. Our AI tool is a Google tool. This is I believe this is a GitHub tool. So this is a Microsoft tool that I have installed here. But I can type stuff in. I can say, I don't know, make this website be themed. It's super tiny, and I don't know how to zoom in because it's not in a window. Believe me that that's what I just typed. And I'll hit send or whatever, and I don't actually want to do that, but sure. And there it goes. This is what it looks like in my day job. I have like a little chatbot thing on the right hand side um, of my editor, and let me make this bigger. And here it goes. I can see the changes that it made. It deleted my old code that's in red. It added all this new code in green. That's so much code. Usually I wouldn't just take that many new changes, but for this purpose, whatever. So let me save that and I'll refresh over here. Maybe I'll make it bigger first and refresh. And yeah, okay. Welcome to the Bee-tastic world. All right. So there's a couple issues here. The scrolling doesn't work. So that's something. And like I didn't ask for any of this. Actually, I just said bee themed. I didn't say like give me this. So this is borderline what I would call like a hallucination. So I might go back in and say, I don't know, the scrolling doesn't work, and I wanted a simpler page to start with. So I'm having a back and forth with it is maybe what I'm trying to show you. And again, go away. And sure, like some of this language that it uses is like very cloying. Like I see the issue, exclamation point, and sure, whatever. Um, so I'll, whenever it's done, I'll hit keep and then I'll save and refresh. Refresh. And okay, now it's much simpler. So it's going to the other extreme. And maybe that doesn't really matter, but that's kind of what it looks like. So this is a editor called VS Code. If you wanted to investigate like a a different IDE, a different editor than NeoCities. You can write all of your code in VS Code and then upload it to NeoCities. So there's nothing stopping me from copy pasting all of this. This is a more reasonable amount of code to take from it. So now here I might say something like add a section on the history of beekeeping. I don't know. Oh, my face is in the way again. It's been in the way this whole time. Oh no, that's terrible. But hopefully it doesn't matter too much. There's a little text box down here. And I don't know, so I can hit send there. And I don't know why it keeps asking me to enable that, but okay. And sure, okay, so it added this section, only this section green. Cool, I'll keep that. And, in my real life, I would, pretty carefully examine that and double check it and stuff. But for us, I'll just save and then refresh. And okay, there it goes. So I don't know. I wanted to show that because that is sort of how, like, that's what my real coding looks like in, I don't know, my real job. And so I'm not like going to ChatGPT or Gemini and then copy pasting back and forth a bunch. It's this embedded editor, this embedded AI in the editor. And so I don't know. I don't know if that was interesting or not, but that's kind of what it looks like. Anyway, okay. So I think I've covered what I wanted to cover. I wanted to cover the fact that you can write code with AI. The benefit of that is, in theory, you are saving time. You are saving the time that it would take to type out your HTML. However, it comes with costs. And for students, there's a couple of costs. The main one is I don't think you're actually learning if you are just copy pasting back and forth. And I'll be honest, like for this class, maybe that doesn't matter, maybe if you took this class as a gen ed because it was online in 4 credits, like maybe it doesn't matter if you didn't actually learn HTML, but for your actual major, for the thing that you are actually going to do in your life, I think it does matter. But it's so tempting. It's so there, it's available. It's free for students, and I don't blame that. I don't blame you for triaging your time and saying, you know what, this assignment, I'm just gonna do this the easy way. And you know what, I read through it, it makes sense. I changed a few things, cool. But the more, I don't know, insidious thing about it is the sameness. And this is true for websites. It's true for research papers. It's true for really anything, because these tools sort of gravitate towards a sort of generic, like, average. And so this is a very average website. It's got rounded corners. It's got, drop shadows. It's using the same fonts. It's, very, very samey. And that's a downside. And maybe I'll leave it here. Like, it's a choice. At this point in the semester, I'm not going to change expectations or anything. I will just impart you with the ability to make a decision. In this class, in other classes, in your real life, like, when do you reach for AI? When do you do it yourself? When do you maybe have a middle ground where you are using AI, but you're keeping yourself in control? And I don't know, that's going to be a choice, I think, no matter what job you have going forward. So pros and cons is what I'll say. All right, I'm looking forward to hearing from y'all on this one. I know this one got a little weird, maybe a little different than the other ones. But I don't know. We're living in weird times, so maybe that's okay. So I think what I'll do, I'm just thinking through this right now, is for this week's maybe discussion forum, I'll pose some of these as questions, and I am legitimately looking forward to hearing your answers. Even if you don't agree with me, like, especially if you don't agree with me, maybe, because I am not a student. I actually don't know what it feels like to be in that context. Anyway, hopefully some of this rambling about AI was interesting or useful. And I will make one more video about this week's homework assignment. But until then, happy AI coding, maybe? Or not? Up to you? Sure.